Hello, I am live again. Good afternoon. Today is March 21st, 2024. I am Stephen for a reason. This is the RCN Show. Great to have you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your interest. You know what? We're doing things a little bit differently today. Definitely more sort of as we go. I'm not even sure exactly what episode we're sitting at. I'm going to say give or take about 60 or so. And again, we always thank you for your views, your input, your questions, your comments, etc. But today's no different. I have another fantastic guest coming on the show. It's been a little while since we've done these shows. I did one recently with Melissa Lewandowski. But prior to that, I had a few health concerns or problems that limited some of these shows. And you know what, to be honest, it's great to be back. I feel better than I ever have. And to be quite honest, I'm just excited to get started. So with no further ado, let's just bring on our guest today. His name's Darrell Marshall. Hi, Darrell. How are you?
Very good, Stephen. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks. Like I said before we started there, it's good to be back doing these things. I had a bit of a pause there for about at least a good 4 or 5 weeks. And, getting back, and everyone deals with their own health issues. But I'm glad to be back. You had a bit of a health issue, if I recall correctly, where you landed on your face on some snow and ice.
Yeah, I jumped the fence to get my dog from the neighbor's yard. The dog had no problem landing. I had a big problem landing, so lucky for me, I broke the fall with my face. So I'm glad this wasn't last week, or else my be a lot larger.
Is that right, eh? Well, I'm glad to hear that you survived your accident. Everything's okay with your dog, I hope?
Oh, the dog cleared the fence, no issue whatsoever. So we don't have to call the fence. Yeah.
All right. So let's just get a little bit more personal here, Darrell. You're a family man. How many kids and animals do you have in your house?
Well, we're a blended family. My wife has 2 boys, 20 and 17, and mine are 23 and 20. And then as for animals, 3 dogs and 2 cats. So we got
3 dogs and 2 cats and 4 kids.
We have a full house. Yeah.
Wow. That's got to keep you busy.
No, not at all. They're in university. They work. They have their activities. I hardly see any of them.
Yeah, well, my kids are kind of the same ages, and at every stage that children have, there are different challenges and different ups and downs, right? But
absolutely, we were busy, much less so.
Okay, so you are now a home inspector for Buyer's Choice, correct?
Correct.
And how long have you been a home inspector for?
I joined the Buyer's Choice about a year ago this week.
So you've been a home inspector for 1 year, is that correct?
A little less. You do the onboarding and the certification takes some time.
Okay.
You go through a couple hundred houses onboarding, and then they unleash you.
So, sorry, say it again. You do how many houses?
I did probably 80 to 100 houses while I was onboarding.
Okay.
After the certification, which takes a few months, but I come from a bit of a background of inspecting more from on the agriculture side and some commercial and mix in building garages and renovating houses, and it was a perfect fit to finish off my professional career doing something that is just fantastic. I absolutely love it.
Okay, so I will get back to that, but first of all, your onboarding, that is quite an onboarding process of 80 homes, don't you think?
At the time I did, but there isn't a day goes by that I'm not grateful that they didn't make it really hard to be a certified Buyer's Choice home inspector. So it's one of the reasons I was drawn to a Buyer's Choice over some of the other ones, which, I mean, there's plenty of fine home inspector companies in Winnipeg. Is they made it kind of the hardest to join.
But you know what? I think that scrutiny and I think that training and everything involved is admirable. I think, as people are needing your services, knowing that a company like a Buyer's Choice has put you through those rigorous training programs, I think as a client, that would actually probably really help, like that, make that decision. And I hope that people hear that loud and clear, because I don't know enough about your industry, but I think any job, any company that scrutinizes their new employees to that level says a lot.
Yeah, it was true, and I agree. But it is maybe I made it sound a little worse than it was, because it was. I enjoyed every moment of it, to be honest with you.
That's awesome.
It's true what I said, but it was a great experience from the get-go with my teammates Rene Rio, Bruno Penner, and Jim Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fantastic.
Cool. Okay, so now let's just go back to what you were starting to say there. Your background is in renovation and construction to a certain degree, correct?
Certain degree, more renovation than construction, but
okay.
Yeah.
And you were also working for agriculture back then?
Yeah, we used to run grain elevators.
Wow. Okay, so you've got quite a diverse background, and I can see. So the construction and the renovations, that component of your experience, was that more passion, or was that trying something different? Like, how did you go from running grain elevators into the construction sector?
I did them part and parcel at the same time. It was something I toyed with doing full time.
Uh-huh.
But the honest truth of it was I was doing so well with my agricultural career that it was too hard to make the leap. And then it got to a point where I was able to just decide and put my focus where I wanted it to go.
Right.
And then I ended up with a buyer's choice at the end of it. So it really all worked out very well.
Okay, cool. So who would be your referral partners, if you will? Like, who are groups of people and businesses that would often refer you business for your home inspection services?
It's almost solely realtors.
It is, eh?
Yeah. And then, of course, our clients, which are shared clients with the realtors, would be secondary.
Okay. So if they are your lead generators, which makes perfect sense, mm-hmm. Do you do other marketing, or what do you do to get out there to get recognition and to get your phone ringing on a regular basis?
Well, old school, walking in the door of some brokerages.
Yeah.
Attending full houses when we can. I'm co-hosting a open house this evening, as a matter of fact. Oh, yeah. So we'll do stuff like that. You just get out there and meet them. We've hosted at golf tournaments and other functions that we have upcoming. One of them's be a ladies' night for realtors for a fundraiser. Okay. It's very much infant stages. Mm-hmm. We do things like that to get ourselves out there. Then, of course, social marketing, social media. Yeah.
Well, I like that open house.
Realtors Choice.
Sorry?
And joining the Realtors Choice Network has been.
Well, I thank you for that plug. I appreciate that. I didn't mean to cut you off on that plug either, by the way. But
well, it's not very often you are part of a social media where you actually have a social aspect to it, and I believe that's what you bring to the table, honestly.
Well, I appreciate that, and you know what? We work very hard at it. We do our best, and at the end of the day, to me, I look at the role that I play really as being the main networker. And what I mean by that is the role that I carry with Realtors Choice Network, especially locally, is just bringing people like yourselves together on a regular basis. And the one thing that I find every day is that everyone's so busy in day-to-day life. How much time do you have to go be, on the computer doing creative graphic posts? That's time consuming. And so I feel the best way and the number one compliment you can give a person is a referral. And I think that type of interaction is really what sets us apart. And that's why I've tried and I continue to bring together these different networking style events. We've got some other clients and members that are really going to be growing that in the future too, Darrell. And I can't wait for you to be part of that moving forward. But, to me, networking is not just, online conversations on social media. The networking really is that personal touch. It's that walking into those brokerages, into those offices and shaking a hand and looking a person in the eye and saying hi, and there's just so many different forms of networking. And I appreciate your comments. That's what we're trying to bring together is all those different aspects together. And the reason why I asked you who's your number one referral leader, if you will, is because that's the most important part, Darrell. We have to figure out whatever business is part of our network, whatever business we're working with, who their target audience is, and then go after them. So my question to you then from that is, you talk about open houses, you talk about knocking on doors in different offices. How have you worked with realtors in the past, and how are you continuing to gain momentum with them and get your name out there?
Well, on top of that, I'll advertise on my social media an open call to any realtor, whether I'm working with them, even if I've never met them, that they're welcome to call me for if they're in a house that they're showing or they have a question or an issue and they're unsure what the answer is, that they can call me and I'll do my best to help them out. I don't have to have any skin in the game, so to speak.
Yeah, of course.
I put that out there. So I've got a few phone calls like that. I'm unsure if people think I'm serious or not, but I'm quite serious. All calls are welcome. I might regret that one day, but in the meantime, if I can help you, I don't need to be on the bill, so to speak.
Right, of course. So your open houses, in previous jobs of mine working with builders and things, there's been a realtor, of course, because you have to have a realtor in an open house, and often they'll bring in like mortgage brokers or they'll bring in other services into the open houses. And I'm assuming that's a similar role with you, where you come in as an added value partner, if you will, and helping with that open house. And, you know, I'm assuming there's going to be sometimes there's traffic coming in the house where the realtor is busy, and it's now your turn to jump in and help them out and keep those customers or potential customers engaged. Yeah. Is that the case?
That's very much the case. It tends to be very natural.
Yeah, I bet.
People, once they're introduced to me, then they tour their house and they'll ask me to come with them to look at something, and anything from can I build a room here to can I put a washroom there, or what's wrong with this, so to speak.
So, you know, I think that's really a good call to action, if you will. Hey, realtors, do you need any assistance with your open houses? Because I can see a lot of realtors in the business who are busy and, like I say, engaged in one-on-one conversations. You know, one thing I've always found difficult in networking events is trying to carry on a direct conversation with somebody when there's so many things happening in the room at the same time. It's just like, hey, wait a second, Darrell, let me just go say hi to Bob. I'll be right back, you know. And I'm sure realtors often have that in busy open houses or during the parade of homes and things like that. So I commend you for that. I think the home inspector is probably a fantastic fit in those open houses and that experience.
Well, so far so good. Yeah, in realtors they're stretched so thin these days. I mean, there is a lot of them, but the busier, the more successful, the more popular realtors. Mm-hmm. They don't have a moment to themselves throughout the day. Never mind 25 people in an open house setting while their phones ring. And, you know, they got other offers going on and they're really being pulled in a lot of directions. So if we can offer assistance, and then, you know, in the end, it's win-win, honestly. And it's fun. I've enjoyed myself every one I've done, and I'm looking forward to this evening. So
amazing. And I think all realtors out there listening or watching the show, consider Darrell for that if you're in the Winnipeg area. Obviously, that's a perfect fit. Let's talk a little bit more about your home inspection services. Do those services that you offer, do they ever vary at all with weather? Like we're heading into spring now. Is there different inspections that you do for winter as compared to spring or summer, for example?
Not necessarily. One caveat to that, though, is it's hard to inspect the roof if it's covered in snow.
I bet.
But in all honesty, we'll get up there with the ladder to at least determine what kind of shingles they are, because there's different age and lifespans to different varieties of shingles. And then, of course, we'll inspect inside the attic to see if there is an actual cause for concern in the first place.
Sure.
So there's that. When there's winter, it's a little harder to inspect the grounds when it's covered in snow as well. But, you know, that's what shovels are for, right? So it's a little extra effort. Yeah. Doesn't change too much other than that.
No way.
No.
Is there like a set checklist or guide that you have to hit every single one of those steps to
very much so. In order
inspection?
In order for us to be as efficient we are and timely, we have a very regimented checklist. It's on an app where we enter our inspections into, and it helps keep us on track and keep us focused on it, because you get distracted if someone will ask you a question.
Sure.
Then you always at all times know exactly where you left off, and if you've missed anything.
Okay. So in the case that you find some problems in the house, I'm assuming the seller is not too happy to have you pinpoint those problems. And of course the buyer is relieved. At least I know what I'm, heading into as far as potential issues or problems down the road. How do you go about communicating that? Like, is that one of your most challenging parts of your job, is to explain the problems that you found?
It can be. People are nervous and excited and stressed all at the same time. So first and foremost, the truth will come out, but it's going to come out with the education about the issue, with the goal of it being where we can educate you to a level where you can accept the challenge that's in front of you. And then really from there, it really depends on, are you up to it? And there's nothing wrong with not being up to a challenge. Some people just don't have it in them, or they don't have the time, or they don't want to bother.
Okay.
So with all that in mind, then they can make the decision that works best for them.
Okay. And do you ever have any experience or experiences or situations in the past where you're like, Mr. Buyer, you're the one who hired me, I really don't think you proceed? How do you hold back that type of opinion in those circumstances?
I'm sorry, opinion on?
Like, so if you're brought in by the buyer who's interested in purchasing a home, and you find some severe problems, how do you hold back your personal opinions about whether they should or shouldn't buy that home and proceed?
Well, it's actually quite easy.
It is, eh?
We don't pass fail the house. We discover the truth about the house. And as I said before, we're going to educate the buyer on it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not always overly happy about it. However, if it's something that we missed, then it could cause a huge issue for them, and then in turn us down the road. So it's not hard to be on point and just tell it how it is. I mean, certain personalities in the small window we get to learn about these people, we will tweak the approach. But they're hiring us for a reason, and we're going to do the job the best we can. So I
like that. So like you said, there's no real pass or fail as per se. It's a matter of gathering the information and educating your client as to what you find and what the realities of that may or may not look like, depending on each case scenario, I'm sure. To me, that's very interesting. Like, that's a different hat that you wear for customer service at the same time. And I can only imagine, because of my experience buying a home when I was younger, it was incredibly emotional.
Well,
I walked into this house. It was that instant moment of, yes, this is the place. Oh, well, at least I had a good realtor back then. They're like, well, maybe you should get an inspection just for peace of mind, Steve. And I said, okay. And, I remember I barely remember the home inspection, because all I wanted to hear was, it's okay.
Yeah.
and that's all I remember of the process, because I was so emotionally engaged at the time. I can only imagine, they call them bridezillas, the brides to be. And, people are emotional and they can be a little bit eccentric at times. Do you find a lot of the times that you're doing your job that these people, especially the first time home buyers, are quite an emotional state when you're working for them and meeting them?
No, they hold it together pretty good for the most part. But as far as first time home buyers go, they're my favorite, if I'm being honest about it. You have their attention, as opposed to someone on their fourth or fifth house. You have their attention, but now they have experience, and then their experience might not jive with what you're trying to tell them, and then you have to re-educate them, which is easier or harder than educating them in the first place.
You know what? I think it goes back to that education component, where the new home buyers are listening, wide-eyed, big ears, taking it all in, and really listening to you. And when I was a chef and I would be training people or cooking in front of them and coaching them how to cook, and it was always that one person who's not really listening, but the rest would be right tuned in, and that was a reward that I had when I was cooking, because I would see them taking that information. They'd ask questions or they'd be interested, and you can see them absorbing it, making sense of it. And it was almost like a visual, you really knew you're connecting with a person. I bet you see that a lot too, right?
Yeah, it's quite satisfying when their eyes are on you and they're listening and they thank you for that they learned something new today. Or they might have said, if you haven't explained it to me this way, we wouldn't have bought this home.
Yeah.
So there's a huge benefit to it for the client and the realtors. And then when they do a full home inspection with us at a buyer's choice, they get a lifetime of free consultation. As long as they own that home, if they got an issue, we're going to help you, talk you through it. If we can't figure it out with text pictures, we'll work out a moment in time where we can swing by for really 10 minutes is all it's going to take, most likely. So,
well, that's another interesting point. So your company scrutinized, put you through the grind, educated you, made sure that you were what's what when it came to wearing the brand and the representing the company. Buyer's Choice did that very well. But you're telling me that your service includes a lifetime consultation where your clients can call you up and say, hey, Darrell, I remember when you stopped by and inspected our house, I remember you telling me something, but I don't quite remember it. Is that kind of the case scenario where they're calling you back and asking for a reminder of some of the things you shared with them?
Pretty much, yeah. So we can, a lot of it is the report. They're not really looking at the report, which the info is in there. So, or if they don't understand it. So we always retain a copy of the report. So before I offer that help, I'll say, I'm going to take a look at your report and I'll call you back. Because very often, once you see the house in the report, you actually remember the house.
You see, for me, Darrell, I guess when it comes to our network, the most important thing when it comes to me networking and building relationships is always a person. I remember when you walked in my office the first time, we got along perfectly. And there was that immediate, this is going to work. This is the right feel and everything. And that's still how I feel about working with you and networking with you and having the show. But I'll tell you, those two qualities that we've talked about a buyer's choice, that's impressive. And I kind of want to leave that impression with everyone who's listening and watching again, that a lifetime consultation access, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't be surprised if other brands and other inspecting companies do that too, but I've never heard home inspectors specifically point that out. And the fact again that you had so many homes that you had to learn the ropes to get to where you're at today, it really, really stands out to me, and I appreciate that. Let me ask you this question, Darrell. In the future, this afternoon, tomorrow, whenever that case may be, what other companies or professionals would you like to network yourself with that are outside of the realtor component?
Property management is something we can have a good hand in.
Yeah.
Your larger companies that have dozens or hundreds of properties don't have the time or maybe the know-how or the staff to do annual inspections. There's services that can be done for move-in, move-outs inspections. So you can have the before and after reports to compare whether or not the tenants are receiving their damage deposit or not. And the damage deposit is significantly more in most cases, I would imagine, than what that inspection would be.
Oh, I can imagine. So what about you now on the reverse side? All of a sudden you're seeing some problematic issues, say with the plumbing, with the foundation, maybe with a deck, or even just renovation side projects that need to be fine-tuned. Are you able to refer your clients to other colleagues that would offer those type of services?
Oh yes, we'll give out referrals for sure. We try and give out 3. so that they can choose
Oh, three options of an electrician or three options of a whatever the case may
or
be.
handy service or plumber or HVAC is usually the number one referral we're giving out. And then handy services is another one. Much like a realtor, they'll hand out three inspectors. It's the rule of thumb, anyways. They'll hand out three names and leave it up to the client to decide, because not everyone's going to want me. They might want the next person, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they get what they want.
You see, I love that, and I had a mentor many years ago who always told me, you know what, Stephen, competition is good competition. And you know, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you fresh, it keeps you making sure that you're doing the best you can for your clients and partners, whatever that might look like, right?
Well,
hey,
sorry, go ahead.
I appreciate that. I just think that we're the same way. We have to give options out for people to have a choice. We can't have favoritism or anything like that, or even come across that way. We have to let our clients and our members, you know, realize that they're not the only one in their own industry. There's going to be others, because it's the right thing to do, to give people options and let them pick and choose. That eliminates that whole favoritism and complex, you know, scenario. And I think it makes perfect sense to offer more. But isn't it nice when they do contact you, right?
I get excited for every call like it's the first one, and I'm not kidding. Yeah, I look forward to going to work. They call it work. I don't. I look forward to the next one. I look forward to the current one. When they call me and they have an issue and we can solve it, I look forward to that. It's really been a wonderful experience, and I do owe it all to I had the good fortune of joining a great team.
Right.
So as well as I've done out of the gate, if it wasn't for the teammates, Bruno, Jim, and Renee, and soon to be Rob Bergen coming on board, it wouldn't be the same. And I wouldn't be as efficient as I am. So,
well, I think that that says a lot, again, about you and about the company you work for. And I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. I guess the point I want to share, though, and my take on it, if you will, is that you are definitely a people person. And I can see you enjoying your job because you're engaging with people, you're doing what you love, you're coming back and educating your clients and have, again, like we mentioned, that kind of a rewarding experience. Well, that's 3 wins right there. I can see why you enjoy doing what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, it's been fantastic. It's every day is a little different. It's wonderful. Plus, it gives me a good excuse to buy all these super cool toys.
Oh, yeah?
Thermals and sewer scopes and radon testers, you name it.
Sewer scope is exciting, of course. Every time I hear that word, you know, scope, and I think of the sewer, I think, hey, I'm 51 years old.
Yeah, it's something new we brought on the last couple of months to offer a sewer scope inspection. You could do it as a standalone or an add-on to the inspection service.
Okay. So, and is there anything else that you want to share with anyone listening, whether it be realtors, business owners, service providers? Is there anything else that you want to share that makes you uniquely different, Darrell?
I wouldn't say I'm any more different than the next person. I mean, we're all just different by nature. Right. But if we're going to deal together, you're going to get the best version of me that day. And I'll appreciate your time for doing so, in all honesty. So
amazing. Okay. So I want to just share with everyone the best way to get hold of Darrell, as you can see in that ticker. We have his personal phone, and we're publicly sharing it. It's 204-481-5334.
Yeah.
Again, is that correct?
That is correct.
And D. Marshall,
personal email, which is fine, but it's Darrell.Marshall@abuyerschoice.com.
Oh, well, then I think you got to correct your LinkedIn account, because that's where I got it from.
I'll talk to my receptionist.
Yeah, you better. So absolutely, look at, you know what? It's about people. It's about passion. It's about loving what you do. It's about quality of service. It's not talking down to people. It's educating people and working together with them. In all these areas, Darrell checks that box. And as far as a quality person, he exceeds it on a regular basis. So with that said, anyone listening, Realtors Choice Network is also proud to refer and bring Darrell forward as being a fantastic option in the home inspection capacity here locally in Winnipeg. Darrell, do you have any plans now for spring? Do you have any exciting things going on, others outside of work?
I don't think I'm going to see the light of day outside of work for the next few months, starting in about 3 weeks.
Okay, so your busy season's coming. Did you hear that, folks? Contact him today, 204-481-5334, because I'm sure he prefers phone calls than emails, Darrell.
Yeah, text or call is the quickest way to go.
Amazing. Okay, well, look, I really appreciate your time coming on here. I appreciate you, and I liked hearing what you had to share with us today. I wasn't expecting all that information. I got a few more notes I've had to take, like I always do. You know what? I think you're really on the right path with your career. Things are really seemingly going in the right direction, and I can see what attracted you to a Buyer's Choice Home Inspections.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be a part of it for sure, and I appreciate your time and appreciate what you do at Realtors Choice. If anyone out there is on the fence of becoming a member with Stephen at RCN,
I don't think I have anybody on the fence. I just think I need all of your referral companies to hear more about us. So I will definitely go back to you and hit you up for those later.
I was on the fence at first, Stephen. Now I'm all in.
Well, that's great.
The whole organization. Yeah.
Not only that, but now is the busy season in real estate, and Realtors Choice Network is the area that I am a part of. But as you know, we have lots of different things going on in our network and our partnerships with different real estate, sectors and companies moving forward. So it should make out for a great season. Unfortunately, your quiet season's winding up. You're getting to the busy season right during the heat of summer and everything else coming forward. I hope you get a bit of time to get some downtime, and maybe we'll go fishing sometime if you get that chance.
Well, we can always make time.
Yeah, true enough. I can always make time for fishing. I don't know about golf, but fishing for sure I'm down with. So
yeah, I can cast a rod, but I wouldn't hit a golf ball to save my life, and I have my teammates are witnesses to that.
Yeah, I don't know about my coordination, my activity, my skill level in the game, the whole bit. I like the companionship. I like the business networking, the fun part of golf in the golf cart, the camaraderie. But you get that all day long when you go fishing together, from the start to the finish. That's what you get the whole way through. You just don't have swinging a club and getting mad at yourself along the way.
Yeah, I'm too busy laughing at myself to get mad.
Yeah.
Well,
again, I appreciate you being all in with Realtors Choice Network. I'm happy to hear that. And thanks again for coming on. I will share this video with you, with others, and I look forward to hearing everyone's feedback about this episode.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Thanks, Darrell. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stephen. Take care.
Yeah, bye now. Well, that was fun. And as you can tell, I'm so non-scripted today. I don't have my graphic PDF on the screen scrolling me through the different points to make. I just knew that Darrell Marshall was a very, special guy. Just his interactivity with me, our conversations, the meetings that we've had. He supports the Realtors Choice Network on a regular basis. He's been to all of our events. And you know what? I like the fact of his straight up nature. Yes, give 3 options of business. Give clients the choice. The phone is always on if you have any questions or need more input or education on what we shared with you. Man, that's a nice feature and a professional component. And again, I'm impressed. I'm truly impressed by his company in those 80 homes that they did the training of to make sure he's really going to do what's right for his clients. Again, any realtors, home builders, I guess, anyone in the real estate world that has open houses, and you're wanting an expert in that area to assist, give Darrell a call. Last time, you want to get hold of Darrell Marshall, it's 204-481-5334 is his mobile number. If you see right there on the ticker, it's d.marshall@live.ca. So with that, I'm going to close the show. I look forward to seeing you again in the very near future. We have a lot of exciting things going on with our network, with our marketing, with some short videos, and of course, great clients and guests coming up soon. That's a wrap. Thanks for your attention and time. Today is March 21st, 2024. I'm out. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Oh, one more thing. Realtors Choice Network and Stephen for a Reason. We are always building a better tomorrow today. Bye now.